Hello everybody, welcome to Until the End of Time. My name is Werner, thank you for joining me. This will be my first ever video playing Murder at the Excelsior Hotel for Arkham Horror the card game. Because it is the first video, there's a small chance that there will still be some things that aren't quite figured out properly. If so, please leave a comment, I will look at it and fix it for next video. As I said, I will be playing Murder at the Excelsior Hotel and I will be doing so with Winifred, the new rogue from the Investigator Started Deck, and with Stella Clark, the survivor from these same starter decks. In case you hadn't seen them yet, Winifred is our new rogue. She has 1 willpower, 3 intellect, 3 combat, 5 agility. She's a criminal, and she has a special fast action. If 2 different non-weakness cards you control are committed to this skill test, draw 1 card. Limit once per test. So every time she has 2 cards committed to the same skill test, she can draw a card. Because you can only commit 1 card to another player's skill test, you'll be mostly using this on your own skill test. Her Elder Sign reads +1. After this test ends, for every 2 points you succeeded by, return a card you committed to this test to your hand. And she has 8 health and 7 sanity. She can only use rogue cards and neutral cards. She does not have any off-class cards. Her signatures are anything you can do, better, which is a skill. Her deck only, commit only to a skill test you are performing, and it has 6 wild icons. That's a lot. It is also innate undeveloped, which doesn't really matter. One thing that does matter is that it is a rogue card. The signature cards for these new investigators are all of their specific classes. As you can see in the top left here, her skill does have the rogue icon, which does matter because there's a card called Daredevil, which lets you flip cards from the top of your deck until you reveal a rogue skill that you can commit to this test. As such, Daredevil can find anything you can do better. Now, Winifred obviously also has a weakness, Arrogance, which is a skill with a single wild icon. It is a flaw, and it reads, you must commit Arrogance to each eligible skill test you perform, and this skill's icon subtract from your skill's value instead of adding it. However, if the test is successful, you have to return it to your hand. So this is going to keep being committed to your test until you fail a skill test. Luckily, Winifred has a willpower of 1, so failing tests isn't all that hard. Just try not to die to rotting remains. On the other side, we have what might be my favorite investigator in the game, Stella Clark, the letter carrier. She's a survivor, and she has 3 willpower, 2 intellect, 3 combat, and 4 agility. She is chosen traded, which is somewhat interesting, and she's civic traded because she's a mail carrier. And she has a reaction. After you fail a skill test, you may take an additional action during your turn this round. Limit once per round. This means that if you fail a test during the Mythos phase, you can still get an extra action during your turn. You don't get to interrupt the action, but you get an extra one. She has an Elder Sign effect, +1. You may instead choose to automatically fail the skill test to heal 1 damage and 1 horror. She has 8 health and 8 sanity, making her the most health plus sanity investigator in the game at the moment. Like Winifred, she can only use her class, Survivor, and neutral cards. And one very important thing is that at time of recording, we do not yet know her signature cards. We do not know what neither Rain nor Snow nor Called by the Mist does. That means that those cards, I just decided not to include either of them. I have not added in additional basic weaknesses because of that. I have because of standalone rules. We'll get to that in a moment. But that means that I'm basically playing her without any signature cards, which might give a slightly different experience than when she is released and we do have those signature cards. But, you know, so be it. We at least get to play her for now. And Stella's deck is going to be all about failing and winning by failing. So we have cards like, let's just have a look. So we have cards like Rabbit's Foot from the core set. After you fail a skill test, exhaust Rabbit's Foot, draw a card. We have cards like Look What I Found. When you fail a skill test by 2 or less while investigating, you get to discover 2 clues. Take Heart. When you fail, gain 2 resources, draw 2 cards. And we also have most of the new cards that come with Stella's deck in the Investigator Starter deck. So we have Grit Your Teeth, which after you fail a skill test, you get +1 to each of your skills for the remainder of the round. We have the upgraded 18 Derringer, which was in the announcement article. As you can see, it is a new firearm for the Survivor class. It only costs 2 resources, though it also costs 2 XP. It uses 3 ammo, and essentially, whenever you shoot this thing, if you miss, you get the ammo back. It takes up a hand slot, and it has a special ability where if you miss, you also get plus combat, but we'll get to that when we see them play. We also have the keyring, which works similar to the Derringer. You get basically a flashlight, you get -2 shroud, but only use the keys, the charges, if you actually fail, or if you actually succeed the test. If you fail, you don't have to spend the key. Finally, we have Granny Orn, which is a bit of a odd one, but she's the new ally for the Survivor class. She gives you +1 willpower and +1 intellect, pretty useful, and she has this ability. When an investigator at your location would fail a skill test, you can exhaust her. The investigator either gets +1 skill value or -1 skill value. Now, why would we want minus skill value? Well, there might be effects that care about how much you fail by. I don't believe there are any in this deck, but they definitely exist. Like the upgraded Rabbit's Foot let you search cards equal to the amount you fail by it, so this would let you search one deeper. You can also obviously get +1 skill value, which works as a sort of mini lucky. Now, to top it all off, we also have a permanent from Stella's deck, the first level 4 survivor card, Quick Learner. It is permanent, and during or before your first action each of your turns, each skill you test you perform gets +1 difficulty. During or after your third action of each turn, each skill test you perform gets -1 difficulty. So as the turn goes on, your skill tests get easier, and because Stella obviously wants to be failing one test, so she gets 4 actions, she's going to get the -1 difficulty, in this case the -2 difficulty, because we have 2 copies twice. It is worth pointing out that it has been said by the lead designer Matt Newman that this does not affect skill tests outside of your turn, so don't worry about the Mythos phase, you won't get any modifiers there. Obviously we have some weaknesses. This is a 19 XP Stella Clark deck, which means that we are using 2 basic weaknesses. We have Amnesia, yikes, and we have Indebted, so we start with fewer resources. You see we start with 3. On the Winifred side, we are also using 19 XP, and we are using a lot of skill, so we got momentum from 3 meters. When we succeed the skill test, we get -X difficulty on the next test, where X is the amount of you've succeeded by, to a maximum of 3. We have obviously Daredevil, lets us just flip cards from the top of our deck and commit whatever we find. Seems very Winnie, and in fact it has Winnie on the flavor text, which is amazing. And this build is a little different than my last Winnie build because it is using Delilah O'Rourke for damage. My basic plan is going to be that Winifred can just investigate with lockpicks. She's good at that, but we got our ally to deal quite a bit of damage. She does 1 damage if we haven't exhausted the enemy and 2 damage if we have, so that seems quite powerful. And since we're using a lot of skills, we can probably afford to put quite a bit of money into Delilah, which is good. So that's just about it for, well, the decks. The rest you're going to get to see in play. So yeah, let's shuffle these decks up and start to see what we're going. Welcome to the Excelsior Hotel. Group all of this. I am using the super complete edition of the... Am I missing a card? Let me check real quick if I'm not missing anything, because that's less cards than it should be, and I might have forgotten to put a card in. I'm going to check her deck list real quick. My apologies for the slight delay. Daredevil, Momentum, Nimble, Opportunist. Am I missing a card? I wouldn't be missing a card now, would I? You know what, I think I might be. Nope, that's in there. Should be a 33 card deck, so I'm not quite sure why I'm missing 2 cards here. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I am using the taboo list, but it seems like whatever that has impacted how the complete mod loads in certain cards, specifically Quick Thinking. So I will get 2 copies of Quick Thinking for use in Winifred, and we will be A-okay. And for Stella, same deal. Everybody on the big pile. Oh, come on. That is also an incorrect amount. Come on, what's going on here? Why am I missing cards? It's really annoying. Oh wait, no, this is the correct amount. Obviously, sorry, this is obviously the correct amount because we don't have our signatures. Right. So let's talk a little bit about Murder. So Murder is a standalone scenario, and it is, in my opinion, the best standalone scenario that there is. It's really fun. It's actually quite fun in true solo as well. As you can see, I'm using 2 investigators, obviously, so what we call 2-handed solo. But I'm just using the standard standalone Chaos bag, no part of a side story or anything. It's just standalone. I don't believe there are any rules I need to know, so let's get to the intro text. Murder at the Excelsior Hotel, intro number 1. There have been reports of strange occurrences at Arkham's Excelsior Hotel for over a month now. Disappearances, bizarre sightings, sudden closures, sometimes for days at a time, seemingly without warning. It is like something out of a ghost story, but you know better than to simply dismiss these rumors. Too many people have whispered about the Excelsior, and to make matters worse, it seems the story have only grown more unsettling in the last week. It's time somebody looked into it all. You've tried going to the police, but the grizzled and world-weary Sergeant Moreau has dismissed you every time. You've been left to investigate on your own. Asking around at all the local hotspots yields no results. Wellness Dimer, Hips Roadhouse, La Bella Luna. Each visit leaves you with only more questions. That is, until today. While walking down Central Avenue in downtown, minding your own business, you bump into a man in a long trench coat. You begin to apologize, but he simply continues walking briskly away from you. It isn't until you return home that you find the note in your pocket, one that wasn't there before. I have answers. Room 225, tonight. Come alone. They're watching. Uncertain what else you can do at this point, you begin making preparation to meet this mystery person. If there is more than one investigator in the game, skip to intro 3. The Excelsior is busy tonight. Either the rumors haven't faced these guests, or the stories have given the hotel a new allure. Everything seems normal. Hotel staff carry luggage and cleaning supplies throughout the lobby and the main stairways. The man behind the front desk greets you with a curt nod and a thin smile. A uniformed security guard reads the latest Arkham advertiser in the corner, and yet you can't get the note's final warning out of your mind. You stride quickly across the lobby and up the stairs, taking some measure of comfort in the knowledge that you have at least contacted others you could trust, letting them know of your whereabouts and intent. Your clandestine meetings have rarely gone as planned, especially lately, and it never hurts to have some measure of backup. You stand before the blood-red door to room 225, take a deep breath and knock. There's no going back now. Proceed to intro 4. You sit in a chair in the suite's living room, watching as the man who slipped you the note paces about nervously. He rambles about secret meetings and watchful staff. The entire time, you find yourself glancing to the coffee table in front of you and the curved dagger that rests there. He pauses for a moment, pours himself a drink, and raises the glass to his lip with a shaky grip. He then pours a second drink and hands it to you. This is all going to sound crazy, he says, his voice little more than a whisper. He glances at every darting shadow and twitches at every creak the old building makes. I'm beginning to feel crazy, but there's too much going on here to just ignore, and I've been part of it long enough. You listen closely, but his words are starting to run together. His voice is ethereal and wispy, like wind at the end of a long tunnel. You blink rapidly, your vision blurs. The next thing you know, you're on your feet, your glass drops to the floor, and then proceed to setup. Setup, gather all the encounter cards. Well, that's done for us. Basically, all of this has been done for us. The only thing we have to do is that the lead investigator will start with the Bloodstained Dagger story asset. So, we have a Bloodstained Dagger. And Winifred is going to be our lead investigator here. Bloodstained Dagger, the murder weapon. Well, that was easy. Item, weapon, melee, and cursed, question mark. It takes up 1 hand slot, and we can action fight, we get +2 combat, or action exhaust the dagger and take a horror. Fight, you get +2 combat and +1 damage. And if this attack defeats an enemy, you draw 1 card. You feel your sins crawling on your back. I believe there is nothing else we have to do. Right, we have to make a leads deck. This is the leads deck. Basically, the scenario is a bit like a murder mystery, like Clue. I don't quite know what the proper reference is, but basically there are 5 leads. We will be picking 2 of them at random, and that will basically determine who the real culprit is and what's going on. We have a bunch of locations in play, and the lead investigator, which is in this case this beautiful rogue icon, is going to start in room 225. Crime scene. The rug on the floor is soaked with blood. Broken glass litters the couch and coffee table in the living room. The window is open, a chill breeze flowing through the long curtains. While everybody else, which in this case is just Stella, is going to start in the foyer. Hall. The foyer is a grand hall of polished stone and sweeping stairs. Guests and staff move through the vast room in an almost dreamlike state. Or is that just your imagination? We are now ready to begin playing. I mean, we have to shuffle our decks and everything, but we are now ready to begin playing. Do not proceed to the interlude until we are instructed to do so. We have an act and agenda I will read first. Agenda 1A, the murder. When you come to, you are standing over the man's body. You recall immediately at the grisly sight. Multiple stab wounds perforate his chest. Blood spills onto the floor. What in the hell happened here? Why can't you remember a thing? Through Doom, if there is only one investigator, the agenda gets +1 doom threshold. Sadly, there's 2 of us, so a 3 doom threshold it is. That's a tongue twister. Act 1A. What happened? Your head is spinning as you try to make sense of the situation. Empty bottles are scattered throughout the room. Your hands tingle. The shadows seem to call and ride around you. Were you drugged, or is this something else entirely? We can spend an action to spend 2 clues as a group, draw the top cards of the leads deck, and our objective is to control 2 lead assets. Okay, let's draw opening hands here. Winifred first. Well, that's her weakness, so we're gonna draw another one. Okay, we've got Opportunist. So this is actually kind of funny. I've always found Opportunist to be a really, really bad card, but it's actually amazing in Winifred because you can commit it, and assuming you succeed by enough, you will get the card back, which allows you to draw cards with her ability more aggressively. We've got Perception, which seems not bad right now. She's gonna spawn in the murder room, so she might want something like lockpicks or something to get clues. Watch this. It's probably not terrible having Lone Wolf. So Lone Wolf is an asset. It will give us money every turn if we're alone at our location. I think I like keeping the Lone Wolf. I think I'm keeping the Opportunist. I'm keeping the Perception. I'm not going to keep the Nimble because, oh, sorry, Nimble is a new card. I should probably say what it does. It's a skill with 1 agility icon, and after the skill test succeeds, for every point you succeed by, you may immediately move 1 location. So maximum 3 times, but it means that, yeah, if you succeed by enough, you could move halfway across the map. But seeing how there are, you know, at the moment, only a few locations and no enemies, I think it's fine to mulligan this one. I think I am actually going to mulligan the Watch This as well. A bit of money is fine, but we have the Lone Wolf, which is going to give us money, and, well, I think we can do better. So we're mulliganing 2 cards, drawing 2 new ones, and we've drew, oh, that's really good. We've drawn our lucky cigarette case. Every time we succeed by 2 or more, we exhaust this to draw a card. Well, with Winifred, you're going to be committing a lot of cards. You're going to be succeeding by a lot. And we've also drawn back our other Watch This, so this is pretty good as far as Winifred opening ends go, I think. Okay, so for Stella, we have to do this more manual because we can't use the number keys. Okay, so we've drawn 11 Learn, which lets us retry tests we fail with +2 value. Look what I found. Let us get clues. Fight or flight lets us fight with a bonus, or fight or evade with a bonus to our equal to the amount of horror we have. Stella has a lot of health and sanity. She has 8 and 8, so this can really help you in later parts of the scenario, but not right now. We've got the new gun and we've got the rabbit's foot that we talked about. I think I'm just going to mulligan the Live and Learn because it's not that impactful right now. I do want to keep the Look What I Found because we might be able to set that up. Derringer seems good just in case we need to murder something, and Rabbit's Foot, I mean, we're just going to draw 3 cards with this. Oh, those are not supposed to go to Winifred, those are supposed to go to us. Well, we draw into the other fight or flight, kind of awkward, but we also draw a Grit Your Teeth, which is also not that useful. Okay, so our hand, Stella's hand could be a bit better, but it's good enough. It's good enough. Okay, let's reveal locations. So we have room 225, scene of the crime. Oh, that's a grisly sight, legs just behind the couch. 3 shrouds, 2 clues, and 3 different actions that each test a different stat, all of them except agility, and we get to remember something for every test we try, so we can clean up the blood, hide the body, and tidy up the room. Meanwhile, Stella is at the foyer, which reads 2 shrouds, 2 clues. We can action resign, and when we attempt to move out of the foyer, while there's at least 1 guest in there, we have to test agility to try to escape. And if we fail, we have to spend additional actions, which is a bit of a pain, but luckily there's no guests right now, so we're good. Well, we can spend 2 clues to grab a lead, and we need 2 leads, so let's go get some clues. I'm going to have Winifred start. In Arkham, you can just have whoever you want go. You don't have to have the lead investigator go first, but in this case, I'm going to start by putting down a lucky cigarette case. I'm going to check real quick that I did indeed put the right kills bag in here. Looks like I did. Excellent. And I'm going to second action, investigate. So Winifred has an intellect of 3, and we're going up against a shroud of 3, so that's fine. I'm going to commit perception, and I'm going to commit opportunist. Because I have 2 skills committed, or 2 cards committed, I'm just going to immediately draw a card, draw an easy mark, Let's get 2 resources and draw a card and play additional easy marks if we have them. But let's try this. We're up by 3 against, so we're 6 against 3. -1. We succeed by 2, which means that we're going to exhaust the Lucky Cigarette case to draw a card. So we've already drawn 2 cards of the skill test. Then we're going to draw a card of perception. Oh, well, there's a weakness. Well, too much of a good thing. And because we succeeded by 2 or more, we get opportunist back. And then we get 1 clue. So let's do that. Right, so that was pretty good as a first action. I mean, we did draw Hypochondria, which has disgusting art. Whenever we take 1 or more damage, we take a direct horror. Isn't too bad right now. And we're just gonna spend our last action to play Lone Wolf so we can get free money next turn. That'll pay itself back pretty quickly. So that's Winifred done. Let's move on over to Stella. So Stella's at a 2-shroud location, but she does have quick learners. So if she tries, she's probably gonna fail right now. As such, I am going to spend the first action playing Rabbit's Foot, and then the second action investigating. So Shroud of 2, I'm at 2 intellect. Quick learner doesn't do anything right now because it is my second action. Not going to commit anything, and I'm hoping to fail here. Skull. Skulls are, oh, I should have done this, sorry. Skulls are the number of guest enemies in play. There are 0 guests in play, so this just succeeds. I'll put this over here too, so we can play a little faster. Well, not quite what I was hoping for. I was hoping for a failure, so I could use Rabbit's Foot, and of course get an extra action. Seeing how we didn't, we can just investigate again, because now we're at our third action, and we will automatically succeed because of Quick Learner, or rather, anything except for the autofill will make us succeed. And if we do draw the autofill, we'll just try it again. So second action, well, I mean, we're 2 versus 0, we draw 0. We've got 2 of our clues. That's pretty good. Proceeding to the upkeep phase now. Ready our actions, drawing a card, gaining a resource. Oh, so Winifred drew Think on Your Feet, lets us immediately move to a connect location when an enemy spawns there at our current location, so we get to move around a bit. And Stella is going to draw Granny Orn, our Toffel bird, and gain a resource. Let's go to the Mythos phase. First Doom out of 3, and encounter cards. We have incriminating evidence attached to the nearest non-crime scene location. Attached location gains the crime scene trait and gets +2 shroud. And we can get rid of it by successfully investigating it. So looking at the board right now, our current location is a crime scene. The street balcony is a crime scene. The second floor hall is a hall and not a crime scene, so it will get the incriminating evidence. I'll try to attach it in some way. Good enough. Meanwhile, Stella is going to draw another incriminating evidence. Okay, so I guess the hall is now also, or the foyer is now also a incriminating evidence. I did shuffle the encounter deck, right? No, guess I did now. So yeah, in this case I think it is prudent to have Stella go first. So I will spend my first action moving into the hall, second floor hall. 2 clues, 2 shroud, and a reaction after you enter this location. You may immediately move to a connecting location. If you do, reveal a random token from the chaos bag. If a special token is revealed, draw the top card of the encounter deck. Now this is currently a 4 shroud location because of a certain card called incriminating evidence. So I'm going to investigate here and probably fail. 2 versus 4. That's not great. Except for the whole part where it is. Oh, okay. So we're 3v4. We're still failing, which is great. So we're going to fail. We're going to draw a card with Rabbit's Foot. Oh, that's also pretty hilarious. We're going to gain an extra action from Stella's ability. And then we're going to play, there's an action for that. We're going to play Look What I Found. So look what I found. Because we failed by 2 or less, we got a +1, so we're at 3. Against 4, we're just going to grab these 2 clues. Great. We just got 2 clues. Which is the required amount for something leads. Now, I could just investigate again and get rid of the incriminating evidence. Actually, it would probably be pretty tricky since it does still get +2 shrouds, even though the difficulty is reduced by 2. We end up at 2 versus 2, which is investigating is not Stella's strong suit. So instead, we're going to spend some actions to get leads. So our third action is going to be action, or clue, get a lead. We will find a time-worn locket, mournful vision of the past. It is a lead and a charm. Revelation, put into play in your play area. Forced, when you are defeated, give control of the time-worn locket to another investigator. A faded photograph within depicts a beautiful young woman from another time. A previous guest of the hotel, perhaps? Let's put that over here. And then our last action, because we did get an extra one, is going to be the Sinister Solution Vial Concoction. Lead and science traded. Revelation, put into play in your play area. Force, when you're defeated, you give control to another player. The flask is ice cold, and the sickly green liquid within has a consistency of syrup. It smells vaguely of fish and ozone. Hanging from the top of the flask is a tag stamped Test 1. Oh no. Okay, well, because we now have 2 leads, we're going to advance. Gotta start somewhere. It isn't much, but it's all you got. The only real option now is to explore the rest of the hotel and see what you can learn. Put each of the set-aside locations into play. So there's a whole bunch of locations that are coming into play. Remove the remainder of the leads deck. And then depending on which leads we have to put some number of encounter cards into the encounter deck, along with the discard pile. Because we have the Sinister Solution, we will be putting in copies of Morbid Awareness. And the Time-Worn Locket means we will be putting in copies of Chilling Presence. So let's do everything in order. So we start by putting in all the locations. There's a whole bunch of them. There's the roof, which is attached to the second floor hall. There is room 212, which is coincidentally also my username often. It's Vern212. The room to door 212 is locked. You cannot enter the room from the second floor hall, but you can use an action to test agility 4 to attempt to pick the lock. If you succeed, reveal it and immediately move to it. It's also attached to room 212, or to the second floor hall. Other way around. And we have room 245, which has a deathly chill emanating from beneath the door. Also, winged wisp because the flat open roof as the clouds roll in overhead. And I need a third connection marker because this is also attached to the second floor hall. So this is all, and then we have 2 more locations: the office and the basement, which are both attached to the foyer, and they read and to each other. And they read. 1 second. Yeah. Office. The door to the office is locked. You cannot enter unless you control the manager's key. Basement gains action. Test agility 3 to attempt to pick the lock. If you succeed, reveal office and you move to it. Now the basement is over here. And it reads, the hum of machinery and the dim lighting makes your hair stand on end. Exploring the basement will be difficult. Amidst the din, you think you hear footsteps echoing your own, just a few places behind. So yeah, from the foyer we can now get to the office and the basement, and they're connected to each other, but the office is currently locked. Okay, well that's Stella's turn over. Let's go with Winifred. Oh, sorry, we have a new act, of course. Following leads. Thanks to the leads you've discovered in the suite, you're fairly sure whoever did this is still in the hotel. The only real question is where to find this person. Looking at the leads you found, you feel like the answers are right in front of you. Objective. Learn more about your leads by placing clues on them, using abilities on some locations. The more clues, the better. At the end of the round, you may choose to advance if each lead asset has at least 2 clues on it. Hint, if you wish to present this evidence to the police, you may wish to have at least 4 clues on each lead asset instead. So we're going to have to you're going to use some of the locations we just put into play to put clues on our leads. So the Time-Worn Locket and the Sinister Solution. And if we have at least 2 on each, we can advance. Now, it is Winifred's turn. Start of the turn, because there's no other investigator here, we get a resource to figure out what to do with this turn. Obviously, Hypochondria isn't great, but it's also not really that bad so far. And whether or not we want to spend 2 actions clearing that. We've got quite a handful, and there are some actions on our current location. Annoyingly, agility is not one of the stats that's being tested. So we would have to either test combat or something, and but you just wish you had 1 more icon of some kind just to get that going. Could test intellect obviously, but that would require throwing away a lot of good cards. And I kind of don't want to, risk my opportunist this early on. So But I mean, yeah, we're just gonna we're just gonna draw a card and see what that takes us. Well, anything you can do better. Guess that's where that takes us. Yeah, okay, in that case, I'm going to second action. Try the willpower test here. Or the combat test. What's better? Yeah, so Stella has pretty bad intellect and pretty bad combat. Shoot, her combat's decent. Her willpower is better, a lot better than Winifred. So I think we're just gonna try the combat test in this case. Could also try the intellect test, but I think we'll manage that later because we have intellect icons in our deck. So I'm going to commit watch this for 3 resources, because watch this reads put up to 3 resources on it, and then if you succeed you get twice that much back. And we're going to use anything you can do better, and we're just going to use opportunist just for the lols, because why not. And this is a combat test against difficulty 3, and we have, well, 6 icons here, 7, 8. So we're 11 versus 3. Welcome to Winifred. -4. Welcome to Winifred, we still succeed by 2. I believe. Let me do the math on that real quick. 4, yeah, we totally do. So this is obviously gone, but we do get a whole bunch of money going up to 7, and we get our opportunity. Oh, sorry, we should have also drawn a card, of course. I completely forgot about that. Oh. So one thing that is actually important to note, we couldn't have committed this card, because the way Winifred's ability works is that you have to do a fast action while there are 2 cards committed. So that is after the window for committing cards is already closed. So you're not allowed to then add cards you draw back in, or choose to add more cards once you've drawn a card. Once you've committed cards, it's over. The chance to commit more is gone. But we did a combat test, so we have hidden the body. Remember that you have hidden the body. Okay, well, we have 1 action left. Also we get to draw a card from the red case, obviously. Sorry, Winifred is so OP, I keep forgetting all the stuff I get to do. Oh, we drawn a second opportunist, so that's either going to make for really great or really awful situations. Let's try to get a second thing noted. So we have an intellect test to tidy up the room. Probably going to try to remember what everything looked like before we got in here. And in order to do that, we're going to commit, so it's 3v3 because we have 3 intellect. Opportunist, opportunist, quick thinking, and we're going to throw in think on your feet, which has 1 intellect icon. So this is a grand total of 4 intellect icons, making it 7v3. -1, we succeed by 2. We draw a card. Sorry, the timing of that is still something I'm getting used to. So we discard these 2. We get these 2 back, and we get an extra action because we had a quick thinking committed, and we succeeded by 2. And we get to remember that we have tidied up the room. Now the last one is cleaning up the blood. Sadly, cleaning up the blood requires you to do a willpower retest, and that's not going to happen for Winifred. But because we do have an extra action, we do get a chance to just do something else. We could investigate, try to get there, but I feel like I'd rather not risk my opportunists. So I'm going to play Easy Mark, which gives me 2 resources and draws me a card. Lockpicks. That's awesome. Well, that's what we're doing next turn, I guess. All right, we are going to upkeep. Ready everything. Draw a card. Oh, so there's a test of will. It's the last point of XP. I didn't point of XP left. This is an exile card. Lets me cancel a revelation effect and exile it. Having a sip of water. Make sure to drink enough water, people. It's good for you. This can go. Mythos phase. So 2 doom out of 3. We're doing actually quite well. We already have 2 leads, and we have cleaned up most of the crime scene. And we're only 2 turns in. However, we just found some conspicuous stuff, which spawns at the nearest crime scene location. Well, as it happens, that's right here, so they just spawn a gate for this. They prey on the person with the most clues, and they have Hunter. They're 3 fights, 2 health, and 3 of 8. They're not going to be a big problem. We're just going to succeed by 1 billion and not worry about it. We've got agility 5 after all. Meanwhile, Stella is going to draw a violent outburst. Oh, this is kind of bad. So, because there is a humanoid enemy in play, that's the stuff that Winifred just drew, that enemy is going to move and engage Stella instead, unless we cancel it. but I don't think we particularly care about that, so it's sadly just going to happen. Meaning that, okay, otherwise the nearest humanoid enemy readies moves 1 location at a time to reach your location, engages you, and makes an immediate attack. So these buttons are a little finicky. Guys engages and then hit for 1 and 1. Well, that's a little annoying, but we've got 8 health and 8 sanity. It'll be fine. Anyway, well, there's an enemy on our face, so let's deal with that first. First action, we're gonna try to evade. We're probably gonna fail because, let's face it, with +2 to our difficulty, we are evading at a 5. We could commit stuff, but it's pretty pointless because we're probably failing. -1. We did indeed fail. We failed by 2. There's not really a sense of trying to fix that, so we're just gonna exhaust Rabbit's Foods to draw a free card and get an extra action this turn. Now we could play Grit Your Teeth, which is something I'm tempted by because obviously if we grit our teeth, we get to get extra bonuses on evading these guys later. It could be useful, but the thing is that because we're not at a location with clues, I don't know how useful that's going to be for the rest of our turn. It would be useful for our second action, but maybe not for the rest. So I think we're just going to risk it and just try the next one. We're just going to evade normally. We have an agility of 4, they have a agility of 3, so -1 or better. Skill is equal to the amount of a guest enemy in play. These are not guests, and even if they were, it would only be a -1, so we succeed and exhaust these guys. Awesome. Now, is that amount of money correct? Now I'm kind of curious because I feel like, oh right, I played Look What I Found. So like, am I missing money? Now I could just play this gun and try to shoot them, and maybe that's the way to go because I don't want to have these hunters running after me the whole time. There are some locations I could move instead, but I think it's probably just good to have this get this out of the way. So we're going to spend 2 resources, play our Derringer. No, we need some resources because it's a new card, it doesn't have automated yet. 3 ammo. Now the reason why I maybe didn't want to do that is because I have Granny Orn in hand and I really want to play her because she's really good, but she costs 4 money, and because we are indebted, we started with a little bit less money, a bit tricky. And for our last action, we're going to shoot with the Derringer, which gives us a +2 combat, +1 if we had failed, but we haven't. But because we also have 2 quick learners, we're getting -2 difficulty. So we're shooting at this enemy that now has 1 combat essentially, and we're attacking at a 5, and we will commit this resourceful to make it a 6. And we draw a skull, which, as we've seen, is pretty good. So we'll get this Look What I Found back thanks to the resourceful, and we will blow these guys away. Okay, that's Stella done. Let's see what Winifred is up to. Well, first up, she gets a free resource. We're missing Delilah, which is why we have a bit much money. But this turn is pretty straightforward. We're just going to play lockpicks for 3, and then we're going to exhaust the lockpicks and investigate here because there's still 1 clue here. Commit both opportunists and draw a card with our ability. Ooh, that's a good one. Skull, as before, really good one to draw here. So we just get to succeed, draw a card with cigarette case. Also really good. And get another clue, which leaves us with 1 action remaining. Come on, get in the trash can. Yeah, so kind of trying to figure out where to go now because we. Oh, actually, I just remembered. We completely forgot to shuffle the treachery cards or the extra bad cards from the leads into the deck. My apologies. So these go in here. The other card that I need to add is the Morbid Awareness. No, not the Morbid. Yeah, yes, it is. It's the Sinister Solution one. Let me check that I got that right. It is the Morbid Awareness and the Chilling Presence. Yes, my apologies to everybody who's probably freaking out at me right now. I got them. Don't worry, I only missed a single Mythos Face. And they're also probably not even like the worst cards in the deck. Yeah, so we have 1 action left. We need to go find locations where we can put clues on our leads, but we also just, probably want to explore the hotel a bit. I think I'm gonna try, I'm gonna move, last action as Winifred, and then I'm gonna trigger this reaction and move to a connecting location. We can't go to 212. We could go to 245, or we can go to the roof. Let's go to 245. So we move first and then we reveal a token. Room 245, 2 shrouds, 2 clues, crime scene, and an action test intellect of 3. Only the top card of your discard pile may be committed to the skill test. Place it on the bottom of your deck after the test is resolved. Okay, that's weird. If you succeed, move any number of clues controlled by an investigator in room 245 to the timer and lock it. If it is in play, it is. It's also victory 1, which is not quite as relevant for the current situation. Not part of a campaign, so we don't really worry about that. Right, I do have to draw a chaos token. It is not a special symbol, so we do not draw any counter cards. And that was my last action. So let's go to upkeep. I feel like I'm doing pretty well so far. Winifred is definitely like afraid of the autofill, but she has a lot of good skill cards at the moment, so she can probably draw quite a bit. If I get all of this to fire next turn, I don't see how we lose. Cautious optimism. Stella is, she's having some economy issues, but otherwise she's pretty good. Oh, and she just draw Fine Clothes, which helps us with parlay actions. We haven't seen a lot of guests yet, which we want to parlay, but don't worry, they'll show up. We got a Mrs. Phase. Oh, things are about to get a little bit more complicated because we hit 3 Doom. So we advance. Arousing suspicions. As you retrace your steps to make sense of the situation, there is a pounding on the door to the suite. This is the police, a stern voice calls out. We've gotten reports of a disturbance. Open up. Put the set-aside Sergeant Moreau into play in the foyer. Okay, that isn't too difficult. Sergeant Moreau. In the foyer. Sergeant Moreau, 2 days until retirement. Oh, that's it. Poor guy. Also, he's got some sort of statue on his desk. That's probably not good. 5 cost asset. Ally police traded takes up the ally slot. Sergeant Moreau may be assigned damage and or horror dealt to any investigator at his location, even if he's uncontrolled. That's good because we don't control him at the moment. So, but if we were in the foyer and we would be taking damage and horror, we can give it to him. And he has a reaction. When Sergeant Moreau is dealt any amount of damage or horror, we can exhaust him to deal that much damage to a non-innocent enemy at his location. Any investigator at Sergeant Moreau's location may trigger this ability. So we can use Sergeant Moreau to hurt non-innocent enemies. We haven't seen any innocent enemies yet. They're the guests, basically. We'll see them in due time. We have to spawn 1 Arkham officer at the 2nd floor. Here we go. Arkham officers spawns in the hall. Humanoid police, and this is also innocent. 3 health, 3 combat, 2 agility. Humanoid police innocent, aloof, so it does not automatically engages, and patrol, which is a keyword that's basically hunter but for locations. He's gonna patrol to the nearest location with clues. And he has a forced effect at the end of the enemy phase. Move 1 clue to the Arkham officer from its location, flipping it to its Doom side. The Doom here representing that the police are gonna probably try to arrest us, even though we're not the real culprits. We know the truth. And we have an action to parlay. Test willpower 3. If you succeed, either automatically evade the officer or flip one of its Doom to its clue side and take control of it. Victory 0. Now the reason why it has victory 0 is because if you kill it, notably not discard it, it will go into the victory display, but then there will be an innocent enemy in the victory display, and there are a number of effects that care about that, like the cultist token, for example. If you have an innocent victory enemy in the victory display, you have to reveal another token. So we're gonna definitely be encouraged to not put police or anybody innocent in the victory display, not murder any innocents. The other Arkham officers go into the deck. If we had 3 or 4 players, we would have to spawn a second one. Okay, so the lead investigator draws What Have I Done? Or What Have You Done? Sorry. Revelation, put What Have You Done into your player threat area. As an additional cost for you to parlay, you must discard a card at random from your hand. Action, shuffle What Have You Done into your deck. So you can never get rid of your sins, but you know, you can get rid of it temporarily. Also, that's an awesome art. This scenario in general is pretty good art. Oh yeah, and then for each of the following circumstances, which is true, place 1 clue on room 225, which is the starting room, and 1 doom on Arkham officer. So if you have not cleaned up the butt, hit the body, or tied up the room, each of those is going to do that. So we have hidden the body and tied up the room, but there is still an awful lot of blood in that room. So this officer is a bit suspicious. He cracks open the door. It's like, there's a lot of blood in here. Is that okay? And so he gets 1 doom on him. Luckily, the next agenda has 12 doom threshold. Pretty far. You're not the only ones interested in the strange events at Excelsior tonight, and the police are onto you. You're still not sure what happened, or if it could happen again. Forced. After an investigator at the same location as a ready police enemy discovers one or more clues at the location or deals damage to a humanoid enemy, each ready police enemy at the location engages that investigator and makes an immediate attack. So obviously, the police aren't going to approve of us, nosing about or trying to punch people. And they're going to try to stop us if we try that. So yeah, we're going to have to be careful. Luckily, we have this parlay ability that lets us evade them. We're going to have to try to do that. Well, that was a big advancement, but now we're ready to go. We should make sure that we shuffle the encounter deck. And we draw blood on your hands. It is a treachery. Ooh, lots of blood. Test willpower 2. Increase the difficulty of the test by 1 for each innocent enemy in the victor's play. There you go. If you fail, take 2 horror. If you are at a crime scene location, you must also choose and discard a card from your hand. So we are currently at a crime scene location, but I also don't really feel like testing this willpower 2. So I'm going to play, you handle this one. Fast. Play after you draw a non-peril encounter card for resolving that card effect. Choose another investigator. That investigator is considered to have drawn the card instead. Gain a resource. Hey Stella, why don't you deal with the blood on your hands? My hands. What? It doesn't have to be investigated at your location, right? No, just checking. Okay. So now Stella is drawing the blood on her hands. Great, thanks. Skull. Skull are -0 because there's still no guests. Police are not guests here. So we're fine. We have willpower 3, so yeah, no problem. And no innocence in the victory display either. So yeah. Oh, and then of course Stella does have to draw her own card. Thanks, Winnie. And there's more stuff here. Okay, great. So the stuff spawns at the nearest crime scene location actually. So it doesn't spawn on our location, which is interesting. We could have them spawn in the room 225, but given that the police are probably heading there because they want to go to locations with clues, might be better actually give them to Winifred just so she can deal with them. So we're actually just gonna exchange counter cards. We'll leave it to Winifred to deal with this one. Yeah. Well, I'd say let's do this. I'm gonna start with Winifred, and I'm going to start by gaining a resource from Lone Wolf, and then I'm going to try to invade the staff. I have a willpower or agility of 5 power, not a mystic. Opportunist, and I don't think I want to use momentum just yet, just because I think I want to use momentum for that final test to put the clues on the Time Worn Locket, as opposed to just evading here and then doing a basic investigate, because I want to put 4 clues on the thing. So I'll put in quick thinking as well, and I'll draw a card with flexibility. Ooh, we got one of the new guns, the Mauser C96. That's correct. Sorry, English not my first language. The numbers sometimes confuse me. So it is an item, weapon, firearm, and illicit. It uses 5 ammo for 4 cost, which is a pretty good deal. But you have to exhaust it whenever you're shooting it with it. +1 combat, +1 damage. But then if you succeed by 2 or more, you either ready it or you gain a resource. We might be able to play it, but we also already have lockpicks and the dagger, so maybe we won't get around to it. Anyway, we're evading this guy. Ooh, that's -4. So that puts us at 4. That's really big, shame. So should have put in momentum anyway, because now, yeah, we do still succeed because we're at an 8, but we don't succeed by 2, which means that none of this fires. Oh, that hurts. Whew. Okay, that was less great. That was gonna be a good turn, and then it kind of wasn't. I know I say the craziest things. We're just gonna lockpicks normally. We could throw in, you handle this one and perception to draw a card, but I think I'm okay just doing it like this. Again, I want to use the momentum for the final test, so, and we need to get these 2 clues first. Skull, well, that's at least good. We don't worry about that. And for our last action, well, we haven't succeeded by 2 this turn yet, so if we do throw in some cards, we maybe get to draw an extra card. So yeah, I'll take the risk. Oh, actually, no, sorry, I just said that, but I realized, no, we just succeeded by 2 because we used lockpicks, so I should just be drawing a card here. Oh, it's Daredevil. Well, in that case, yeah, I'm going to definitely investigate with Daredevil in there. I think I'm just going to leave the perception in hand for the time. Maybe not, because I could commit perception now and use it on the test later. So yeah, we're going to perception. So yeah, Sorry, we have to resolve Daredevil first. After you commit it, let's reveal some cards. So that's not a skill. That's not a skill. That is a skill, so that gets committed, but that's another Daredevil, so they don't stop coming. That's not a skill. That's not a skill. That's a skill. Hey, we get momentum anyway. Bit of a shame because we don't get to use it on anything or anything. Okay. Yeah, because it's until the end of the phase, and this is the last. This is our last action. Anyway, we draw a card because we've got a bunch of cards committed here. Oh, we draw our weakness, Kleptomania. That's pretty bad. So we have to put it into our play area, and we can steal an item or asset or 2 resources from another investigator to shuffle it into our deck. At the end of the turn, we take 1 horror if we haven't done that. Now, we were investigating, and we were doing a whole lot of stuff in between, but, well, bit of an anticlimactic token, but here we are. And we do get to draw a card from the perception. No, I want the perception to be on top. And I do believe I get to decide the order in which these cards enter the discard pile, so you go on top. And there's the other mouser. Okay, and we got a clue. Okay, that could have gone better, but it also could have gone a lot worse. We got our clues, so that's good. Now, Stella, she's close to the police, and she does have this fine clothes in her hand, so she's probably going to play the fine clothes and investigate a bit, or parlay a bit, sorry. Play the fine clothes, first action. Second action, let's parlay. So it is a difficulty 3, or it would be, but we have fine clothes, so it's a difficulty 1. And if we succeed, we can either take the doom and turn it into a clue, or we can just evade him. Skull, well, we know that succeeds. Just gonna grab this doom and turn it into a clue. We don't need those, we need those. And I have to figure out what I'm doing with my last action. I could obviously parlay again. At this point I get the difficulty prediction, so it's a difficulty -1 or difficulty 0 because Arkham doesn't go into negatives. But all that does is evade him so he doesn't move into this room and gets another doom. And I don't think I want to do that forever. The problem is that I kind of don't want to get too far away from Winifred, and there's also not that many other places to go at the moment. I think I'm okay leaving the police officer go here because it's the only clue that's going to be revealed. So once that's happened, he's going to stay still for a bit. So you know what? I'm gonna go to this, try to get to into this room. So it's normally a test of agility 4, but because of quick learner, we obviously get -2 difficulty, so it's only a difficulty 2 test right now. Which with our agility of 4, I feel pretty confident we'll make, or fail and then try again. Ooh, that's the elder thing. -3. If you fail and there's an innocent enemy in the victor's play, take a horror. Well, we don't fail. Or sorry, no, we do fail, but there's no innocent victory enemy. And because we're Stella, we get an extra action. We draw a card with rabbit's foot, and we're fine. Oh, that's a good one. Take heart. So we'll just try again. Okay, I guess we're not getting the door open today. We will go to the enemy phase. The Arkham officer will move into the room here. He will get this clue and turn it into a doom for his force ability. And that's it for enemy phase. These guys will ready in the upkeep and engage Winifred. We will ready everything else. Draw cards. Oh, there's Delilah. Hello. Draw more cards, gain resources, and then we are ready to go to the Mythos phase. Okay, Mythos phase. We're going to our first doom out of 12. Well, technically second, because there's one on the Arkham officer. Encounter cards. We're going to draw a hotel guest. Oh, well, this is our first innocent, or our first guest enemy, I should say. Spawns at the nearest hall location. Since this is Winifred drawing it, she's at the room 245. We'll be spawning at the 2nd floor hall, which is a hall location. Sorry, this is Tabletop Simulator being a bit annoying. 1 health, 1 combat, 2 agility. She's not really much of a fighter. She has aloof and patrols to the nearest crime scene location. Now, because of incriminating evidence, this is actually a crime scene. And she has force at the end of the enemy phase. If she is at a crime scene location, she will add a doom, because she's probably going to scream for help or something. And then action to parlay for intellect or willpower 3, and if we succeed, we discard her. Now this is very important. Because she's discarded, she's not defeated. I mean, she does not end up in the victory display if you parlay her. Stella will draw, and she will get another hotel guest. I guess I know what Stella's doing this turn. I think it's okay if we start with Winifred, though. We'll get to Stella in a minute. Oh, also, I just remembered, I completely forgot to take the horror off of Kleptomania at the end of Winifred's turn, so we have to take one horror. That's fine. So yeah, let's start with the conspicuous staff, because obviously they're going to be a huge problem. Did I just get the resource for the long move, or did I forget? I'm just going to take it now, just in case. So we want to obviously use Delilah to get rid of these staff. Sorry, Delilah, you can exhaust her, spend resource equal to an enemy's evade value, and deal 2 damage at the enemy's evade level 1 if they are not. But of course we don't want to play her right now because that would provoke an attack of opportunity, so we're going to evade these guys first. Looking at our board, I think we're okay to just evade with momentum and the Mauser. Yeah, so this is our first action. Tablet. Now the tablet's an interesting one. It is a -3 unless you place a clue in your location, in which case it's a -1. Now our modified skill value with the -3 would be 5, 6, 7. -3 is 4. That would let us succeed by 1, which is not enough to trigger Lucky Cigarette Case, but it is enough to evade these guys and get a +1 with momentum. And I think at this point I need the clues more than I need anything else. Or rather, I don't want to drop the clue and then have to pick it back up again. Also, because we have 2 cards committed, I should have drawn a card first. My apologies. Oh, well, that might change actually my reaction, because now we don't necessarily have to play Delilah, although we probably will because it's just better in the long term. This is a difficult decision, and I don't necessarily know which one is correct. I want to put 4 clues on the locket, which is why we're here. So I'm going to put both of these. Or I'm not going to put a clue down. I'm going to choose to only get a. So I'm ending up with a succeed by 1. Evade these. Okay. Second action, I'm going to play Delilah. Goes into the ally slot, which she gets over here. And she gets +1. So we get +1 combat, +1 agility, and then we can just fast exhaust her. Pay 3 resources because the staff has agility 3. And we'll do 2 damage, which immediately kills them. So that's that taken care of. And then for our last action, we are going to try here. So we can only commit the top card of our discard pile, which in this case is the momentum, which is not amazing. We're only at a 4v3, but I'm feeling lucky. Well, there you go. Also, we did have -1 difficulty, I guess, since the previous momentum did succeed by 1. But yeah, we succeed by a bunch. Means we get to trigger Lucky Cigarette Case for another Lucky Cigarette Case, and we get to resolve the text here, which is place any number of clues controlled by investigators in this room to time-worn locket. So 1, 2, 3, 4, because we're just going to move all of them into the time-worn locket. Now, because we still are kleptomaniac, I guess we take a horror. That's fine. Note that hypochondria, when we take damage, we take horror, not the other way around, which is important because otherwise this would have been killing us very quickly. And now we get to Stella. Now Stella's turn is a bit interesting because I really would like to trigger these take hearts. And we get +2 difficulty on our first test. So I'm kind of thinking we try to set up a... we set up a test that's basically doomed to fail, and then we go and try to pass some tests, which sounds very Stella to me. So our first action is just going to be, well, we're going to pick the highest difficulty we can find, which in this case is just investigating, because our location has +2 shroud. So this is a difficulty 6 test, because of the 2 quick learners as well. And we're just going to commit 2 take cards. Oh wait, sorry. Take card is notably maximum committed per shield test. So we're just going to commit 1 take card and not cheat. -2. We fail. Oh no. So we get an extra action. We get 2 cards. Oh, and 2 resources. And we get another card with Rabbit's Foot. Our hand is looking mighty full now. Time to start beating some tests, I say. I think I do want to grip my teeth now. Seems useful at this moment. So spend 1 resource, and we get +1 to each of our skills for the remainder of the round. So for our next trick, we're going to try talking to some of the guests. Hotel guests, we can parlay test willpower or intellect 3 with our fine clothes that will be testing against 1, because all parlay actions are reduced difficulty by 2. And since our willpower is higher than our intellect, we will be using willpower. And we get +1 from the grit UT. So this is getting a bit complicated, but Stella does get that way. Most survivors get that way, I feel. So we're just going to parlay cultist token. So cultist is only a -1, but if you have an innocent enemy in the victorious play, then you have to reveal another token. Luckily, we have avoided that urge, so we will just succeed and discard one of the hotel guests. We'll do that again for the other guest. 0, succeed there, get her out of there. We really just want to get those guests out of there because they also make the skills a lot harder. Yeah, so looking at our hand, we currently have 9 cards in hand already, so we're gonna have to probably discard something. I'm tempted to try and investigate here, so we can get rid of the incriminating evidence, maybe, but I'm not sure if that's worth it. We could also move somewhere. We have a couple of locations that are, as of yet, undiscovered. Our police officer is going to stay here. I think, given the... oh, right, we still have our room that we haven't opened. Right. You know what, we're going to do that. We're going to keep... Last time it didn't go so well, but we have some icons we can commit, and we're just gonna try that. Because we have -2 difficulty, so, and we get +1 from our good our thief, so we're just going to commit fine clothes and this spare rabbit's foot, because we only have 1 accessory slot, to put us onto a hefty 7 versus 2. I guess that would actually be overkill, so let's keep the rabbit's foot for now. -3, that succeeds. Real quick math check. This is +1, so 5, 6 versus difficulty 2. Yeah, that makes sense. Sorry, I'm just... okay, so we have now unlocked the door. We reveal it and immediately move to it, which is actually kind of bad. Oh, there's a lot of clues in here. Room 212. 4 shroud, 4 clues, and an action. Test intellect of 3. If you succeed, move any number of clues controlled by investigator's location to sinister solution. Hey, that's lucky. Or maybe I know what the scenario is like. Sorry. We go to the enemy phase, since we've both been. And the Arkham officer now has a location to patrol to, because he moved to the nearest location with clues. So he's going to move back into the hall. It's probably fine. We go to upkeep. Ready everyone and everything. Get our actions back. Draw a card. There's another Lila. Gain a resource. Draw a card. Gain a resource. And now we have to discard, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I think I should probably definitely order my hand a bit. I think we're just going to discard the spare rabbit's foot because we don't need that. We don't need no rabbit's foot. I should not be attempting to sing on this. This is not a singing Arkham community content. Let's go to the Mythos phase. 2, 3 doom out of 12. We draw an encounter card, and it is another conspicuous staff. Okay, so I guess the staff are onto Winifred. They definitely don't look very friendly. We'll just have Delilah murder them again. It's fine. And ooh, driven to madness. Okay. If there are no enemy humanoid enemies in play, driven to madness gains search. Otherwise, attach driven to madness to the nearest humanoid enemy. And the attached enemy gets +1 fight, +1 health, and +1 evade. That enemy loses aloof, and the investigators cannot parlay with the attached enemy. And after the enemy is evaded, we discard it. So this goes on this Arkham officer, who is now driven to madness. This is interesting. Obviously, you know, we don't want this. Not being able to parlay is a big problem, and losing aloof also means they're just going to start beating the punch out of you. But on the other hand, all we have to do is evade them once, and we're done. They do get +1 evade, so it's a difficulty 3 test. But we have Winifred with 5 agility, and we have, or 6 now with Delilah, and we have Stella with her 4 agility and roughly 1 million ways to make agility tests. So I'm not that worried. But let's start by getting rid of these staff members here. So we're getting a resource first and foremost because of Lone Wolf. Yeah, we're just going to evade them. I think, given the fact that we have the knife and we have Delilah, we don't really need the gun. So I'm going to commit the gun and I'm going to commit Delilah. It gives us 2 cards, so I get the draw card. It's an easy mark. also only have 6 cards left in the deck. I've definitely noticed that in Winifred decks, it's pretty possible to go through your entire deck in like 5 turns. I've actually had it go faster than Patrice, who draws 5 cards a turn, which is insane. -1, we succeed by 2. Draw a card from the cigarette case. Oh, it's our weakness, arrogance. So from now on, whenever we take a skill test, we have to commit arrogance. And whenever we fail the test, we discard it, otherwise it keeps coming back. These guys are exhausted, but I'm actually just going to immediately spend 3 and kill them. Because I'm not really planning on doing anything else. Now, annoyingly, we have to kind of find a way to get rid of our kleptomania. We're only at 5 cards left, so I'm not going to do it right now, because obviously if we shuffle it back in and then immediately draw it again, it's kind of pointless. But we do want to make our way to Stella. So I think the best thing for us to do right now is to just get rid of that police officer in the hall. And by get rid of, I mean make him no longer driven to madness. So I'm just going to move here. This Arkham officer with driven to madness attached. Going to get into our threat area because he no longer has aloof. Or yeah. And we're going to test, and I don't think we're going to commit anything. We're at 5. Maybe we should. He's at 3. So we're already 2 over, which isn't too bad place to be. The problem is that the 2 agility icons in our hands are You Handle This One and Easy Mark, both of which are really good cards. So I'm willing to just risk it. Come on, -1. Hey, called shot. So this does the following. It discards the Driven to Madness and exhausts the police officer as normal, which the main benefit here is he's no longer lost aloof, so he has aloof again, which is a convoluted way of saying that, which means that when he readies, he will no longer engage us, which is good. Which brings us to the end of Winifred's deck, or turn. We're now going to take 1 horror, just going to put it on Delilah. And let's get over to Stella. So Stella's in a 4-strike location with a bunch of clues. This seems like an excellent place to be. So our first action is just going to be investigate, commit, take heart. -2, what a shame, we fail. So we get an extra action, we draw a card from Rabbit's Foot. We draw 2 cards from Take Heart. Oh, that's a good one as well. And we get 2 resources. Now, we could just... There's a lot of things we could do, let's be honest. But I think the thing I want to do is abuse Quick Learner to get clues easily here. So what I'm going to do is second action, play Granny Orr. Now, before I do this, I should actually check. Because the shroud right now is Shroud 4. When Quick Learner kicks in, that's going to become a Shroud of 2, which puts it at the same as our intellect. And I did just draw Rise to the Occasion. So if I investigate right now, I can use Rise to the Occasion, but I don't think that's really necessary. So instead, I'm just going to spend my second action and 4 resources to play Granny Orr. Now, as a reminder, because I talked about her at the beginning of the video, but sorry, my mouse is having a couple issues. Talked about her at the beginning of the video, but to remind you, he gives you +1 willpower and +1 intellect. And when an investigator at our location would fail test, we can either give them +1 or -1 skill value. Okay, so for our third action, we are now 3 versus 2. Investigate. Hoping for a -2 here. Not gonna lie. +1. That's not what we wanted, but it's what we got. That's fine. We'll just get a clue. Insert hashtag get a clue, brah. Here. Next action, investigate again. My brain just went on vacation, I think. Ooh, that's the autofill. That's fine though, because the shroud here is 2, which means that after everything's said and done, our modified skill value is 0. We may fail by 2 or less. Though I just realized we don't have the money to play Look What I Found. That's a shame. Would have been, okay, so if we did have the money, we could play Look What I Found and then Live and Learn and just completely clear out this location, I'm pretty sure. As it sits, we don't get to do that, but we do just get to play Live and Learn, so I can live with that. And we succeed, so we'll get another clue. And normally I would have maybe held the Live and Learn and maybe done some awesome setup things, but as it turns out, our hand's getting kind of full, so I'm fine with just, throwing it in there, get an extra clue. Yeah, so that's the investigator phase. Keep these guys ready. This ready, this ready, this ready. Draw a card, gain a resource. Draw a card. Ooh, this is really painful. Speaking about our hand being really full, well, it no longer is. We have to discard everything except for one card, and notably this is not a this is a weakness card, so we don't get the test of will it. Oh man, that hurts. Okay, so we have to pick one card to keep. I'm just gonna throw away cards I know I'm not keeping. I'm not keeping 2 fight or flight. I think I'm not keeping the other fight or flight either, because I think we need some murder weapons, but with Winifred using Delilah, we're probably fine on that front. And I think I'm just keeping the look what I found so we can get more clues faster. Okay, so that was that was pretty bad. I forgot that was in there. I'm gonna be honest with you, but yeah, I probably would have maybe played something a bit more aggressive if I remember that was in there. We did get a resource. Mythos phase. Need to remember to get this guy's doom away before we all advance. Another hotel guest. That's, I believe, all 3 of them. And sorry, I'm still reeling from the cosmic from the amnesia. I haven't played with amnesia in a while. It just kind of messed me up. Find out there's no humanoid enemies in play. Search the encounter deck. Discard power for a humanoid enemy. Otherwise, nearest human enemy ready moves and makes immediate attack. So our choices here, because these are both humanoids, the hotel guest is humanoid and the Arkham is humanoid. We have a choice here, and I think so because this moves them to our location. We do actually have some reasons to pull the officer towards us, because it would mean Stella could try to parlay him, which she's good at that. There is also, yeah, so I think I'm going to do that, even though generally you don't want to pull the officers towards locations with clues, because even if they're exhausted, they still get to move a clue to their to them and get a doom. But in this case, I think we can just clear this location out before it becomes a problem. And the hotel guest doesn't really do anything. Plus, she can be parlayed with intellect, which is something that Winifred could reasonably do. I need to remember to actually take a damage from this attack as well. Okay, so we're gonna have Stella go first. She's gonna parlay first action. She gets +2 difficulty, but she also gets -2 difficulty, so she actually ends up back at neutral. So it's a test willpower 3. She gets +1 willpower from the granny, so I'm feeling like we maybe make the stats. And if we don't, I mean, we're Stella, we're fine. It is engaged with us because of the, but that's fine, because parlays don't provoke attack opportunity, and that's a beautiful +1. So we'll start by evading this guy, because we don't want him to punch us when we start investigating. Now I'm trying to figure out whether I want to get his doom away first or get the clues here first, and we want to get the clues here first. So investigate, second action, 0. We don't have anything that actually modifies the threat value, so at the moment this is a failure because we're at intellect 3 versus 4. So let's play. Look what I found. Okay, so we've managed to successfully snatch the clues away before the police could get them. And we of course draw a card with Rabbit's Foot. It's not a justification. Might be useful later. We get an extra action, and then we're just going to parlay the police officer. This doesn't matter at all because we're against difficulty 0 because of the fine clothes plus quick learner. We're just going to quickly yoink this clue. And then for our last action, we're going to try to do this. So test intellect of 3. We are at intellect 3. Sadly, we don't get to use rise to the occasion here, so we're just going to do it the old-fashioned way. The survivor way, you could say. -3. So that would be bad, except for the whole part where we can spend one of our clues onto our location. And then we can make it a -1. So now we're at 2, and you think, oh, we still failed. No, we don't, because Granny Orn is giving us a mini lucky. So we succeed, and we move 5 of our clues onto the sinister solution. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I should mention, in case people are curious, I am going for what I consider the fast route. Normally, if I was playing this as part of a campaign, I would explore all of the locations before actually doing the objectives that I need to do. But both considering this is a standalone run and also because this is a test video and I don't want to make it even longer than it is already going to be, I'm taking a slightly shorter route just to show off what the game can do, and also to make sure I have enough video. Well, I have enough video without having to edit lots of stuff. Okay, so that's Stella done. Let's go over to Winifred. Yeah, so what are we trying to do this turn? Well, we want to get rid of this hotel guest, and then we probably want to try to get rid of some of these weaknesses that have been piling up on us. Though we obviously don't want to actually get rid of weaknesses if we are not if we're gonna have to shuffle them back into our deck and then have to draw them again. Well, our first action is going to be parlaying with this hotel guest with willpower. We commit arrogance, which is a real shame. We have to commit this to every skill test, and when we succeed, it comes back. That's a -1. That's a shame. We fell. Whoops. Oh, we also got a research from Lumble and Upkeep. Well, then the next time we will actually try to parlay. Looking at our cards, I believe there's still an easy mark in our deck. So I'm tempted by that. But I really want to just pass this test, and I don't think we'll need the sneak attack. So we're gonna... I'm having second thoughts, hold on. The thing is that... The problem is that this is a difficulty 3 test, right? And we don't have any way to boost our intellect other than committing cards. But... Oh, also, sorry, I just remembered. If we go to parlay, we have to trigger this. So we don't want to do that at the moment. Yeah, we're not going to parlay at all. What are you talking about? We never parlay. So instead, well, in that case, we're just going to draw some cards. Actually, just going to lockpicks here, I think. Yeah, so the tricky part here is you handle this one, because I've been holding it in my hand for a long time, and I feel like it might just have to be committed at some point, but the thing is that there's some encounter cards that are pretty nasty for Winifred because of her 1 willpower, that you just get the no-sell by giving it to Stella. But in this case, yeah, we're going to investigate with lockpicks, we're going to commit these 2 cards, which gets us to draw another card, the other lockpicks, commit that. Ooh, the Elder Sign. That's really good. So we get to pull back the cards committed to this test, basically, because for every 2 points, it's for every 2 points, but we succeed by roughly 5 billion. So, also notably, this is no longer a crime scene because we just successfully investigated it. So instead of discovering clues, which there are none, we'll just discard this. So that was really good. That was a timely Elder Sign. We also get the cigarette case, draw our nimble. Okay, interesting. Well, that was second action. I need to not cheat and take multiple actions as a rogue. Okay, so now that we have a card that we would actually not mind discarding or committing, we're gonna try again. So this is awkwardly a random card in hand, but most of the cards in my hand aren't that good. So we're gonna initiate a parlay action. We have to discard a random card from hand. Let's hope it's not the lockpicks, or let's hope it is the lockpicks and just be done with it. This one, it's nimble. Okay, it's a good card, but it's not like, you know, that impactful right now. I'm going to commit sneak attack because I've already got Delilah, and I'm going to commit lockpicks, and we're just gonna go parlay. That's unusual. Okay, well, I have to actually do some math here because we were intellect 3. I believe we only succeed by 3, so we only get to pull 1 card back to hand. So I'll get the sneak attack back because obviously Delilah is already a bunch of damage, but if we're just going to evade and then pile on a whole bunch of damage, then sneak attack is just better. Oh, we also get the draw card, obviously, sorry. There's the other user mark. And we discard the hotel guest. Okay, hope that was clear to everybody what happened there. I parlayed, I forgot to draw a card with Winifred, then I drew Elder Sign, got to pull everything back to hand. Yeah, so I believe that's her turn. We go to the enemy phase. This force effect does trigger because there's a clue here now. Even though the Arkham monster is exhausted, there's nothing in the forced effect about being ready, so sadly it does still happen. Then we go to upkeep. Draw a last card in our deck, gain a resource. Oh, we also take another hover from the kleptomania that I keep forgetting. The other sneak attack. Well, if we get a boss fight, then at the very least we'll have a lot to do. Ooh, and a resourceful, which is great because we can get back some of the cards amnesia just nuked. Nifl's phase. Doom. We're doing fine, by the way. We have 5 Doom out of the possible 12, and we're about to. Oh, actually, sorry, we are not going to Nifl's phase. We're going to advance because we have No, wait, sorry, we're not going to advance. We're just going to go to middle phase as normal. There's something we gotta do first. I kind of forgot about that, but yeah. Ooh, okay, so this is a... It's basically Rotting Remains with extra text, which Winifred isn't really known for liking, so we're just gonna chuck this one over to the other side of the table. Stella, like, thanks, I guess. Oh, wait, I have to resolve this first. Sorry, wrong button. Reveal chaos token. Ooh, -4. Well, we have no way of besting that. We can use Granny Orn to give us +1 skill value, because we're currently at a 4 versus 3, so this would put us at 0. We'll take 3 horror. But the thing is that I don't see us dying to horror, because we're just going to put 2 horror on the Granny and 2 horror, or 1 horror on ourselves, and be totally fine. Actually, I'm actually going to take another horror myself, just because we have Fight or Flight in our deck and we might need it. And then for our own encounter card, it is Blood on our hands. This is difficulty 2 test, and if we fail, we're not at a... No, we are at a crime scene location. So we would have to do... Also, I do get to draw a card from Road Food. And get the... Oh, sorry, I should probably point out, because we just failed the test in middle phase, we do get our extra action during the next turn. We don't even have to fail any tests during the actual turn. This is -2, which we make, so that's fine. Well, that's pretty fine, all things considered. We're gonna want to run over to do our last little bitty bit of thing that we have to do. And we want to get Winifred's weakness out of here. I think both of those are things we can get arranged. Let's go with Stella first. So Stella's gonna move. Here, she's going to probably just move again. Yeah, that's good. We're not going to trigger this reaction because I don't want to risk drawing really bad encounter cards. And then we're going to action, try to clear out the blood. Because we have, this is our third action, we get -2 difficulty. So this is a 4 versus 5. No, 4. Sorry, 4. Thanks to Annie, Granny. Yeah. Having some speech impediments here. Versus 1. -1, we have cleaned up the blood. Yeah, we don't want to go present our findings to the cops and not clean up the blood first. Well, with that taken care of, our last action is going to be grabbing a resource because we're out of money. Okay, well that leaves Winifred. She's going to move here. She's going to play Easy Mark. Gain 2 resources. First off, she gets a resource from normal. I always forget those. Gain 2 resources, draw a card. Well, our deck is empty, so we're gonna have to shuffle. And then we get to play another Easy Mark. Okay. And then last action, we're gonna get rid of our Kleptomania. You can either take control of an item, asset, or shuffle, or 2 resources. Well, Stella's having resource issues, so let's not do that. We'll just shuffle this back in and steal her nice clothes. Move these over here, these over here. That seems decent. Don't think we're going to be doing a lot of parlaying given our what have you done, but hey, at the very least we got rid of the weakness for a bit. And that's that. During the enemy phase, this guy does nothing because he is at his patrol location, technically speaking. There's no other location with clues. And then we'll go to upkeep. Oh, come on, work with me here. Draw a card, gain some resources. Oh, well, so here's a card I haven't gotten a chance to show off yet. It's the old keyring. It basically is a flashlight with 1 fewer cost and 1 fewer use, but it only uses the actual charges if you succeed at the test. So it would have been really good with things like look what I found, because we can increase the difficulty and then lower the difficulty again. It's also just insane with Quick Learner because, you know, we get -4 Shroud, which is madness. Anyway, we are going to advance now because we have 4 clues on each lead asset and we have found the truth. Time to read the interludes. Here it is. It's like, where did I leave the rule book? There we go. The truth 1. Your investigation is halted by Sergeant Moreau, the very same police sergeant who had spurned your earlier warnings about the Excelsior Hotel. He is clearly exaggerated by all the strange happenings in the building, and demands answers. Now listen here, he says, his hand twitching toward his holstered gun. I'm a reasonable man, but you're looking mighty suspicious. You better tell me everything that's going on right now, you understand? Or you're gonna take a one-way trip straight to the big house. And we will lie about our involvement. You do the only thing you can think to do in this moment. Lie through your teeth. After all, there's no way the police would understand all the strange occurrences within the hotel. And even if they did, you don't expect them to turn a blind eye to all the evidence pointing in your direction. Sergeant Moreau will only believe you if you successfully covered up your involvement. If all of the following circumstances are true, skip to the truth 6. Otherwise, proceed to the truth 4. We have cleaned up the blood, hid the body, and tidied up the room, and there are no innocent enemies in the victory display. This is all true, so we get to go to interlude 6. Or truth 6, I suppose. Truth 6. Sergeant Moreau nods along to your story, convinced. Alright, he says. Sounds like you really did have nothing to do with this. But maybe you can help me find the real culprit. Somebody in this damned hotel is a murderer, and we're gonna find them. You breathe a sigh of relief. At least the police won't be a problem anymore. Remember that the police are on your side. Choose an investigator to take control of the Sergeant Moreau's story asset. Move him to that investigator's threat area. Now this is somewhat important. He does take up an ally slot, so we have to pick somebody. Both of us have allies and neither of us have charisma. I'm gonna give him to Stella, mostly because I'm guessing we're gonna get a boss fight at this point. I don't remember all the endings for all the different combinations. I don't actually know what's about to happen, but if there's a boss fight, we would rather have Delilah and Moreau than Orne and Moreau. We have to search the deck for every copy of Arkham Officer, and we just have to remove all the Arkham Officers from play. So the police are no longer after us, which means that there are no longer police encounter cards in the deck. Double check that I did that right. Is there anything else we have to do? Nope. Okay, skip to the truth 7. Truth 7. Thanks to your cunning investigation, you now have a better idea of what's going on. You're not the real culprit here. There's much more happening behind the scenes of Excelsior Hotel, and you just got in the middle. Resolve the text below based on which 2 lead assets are controlled by the players. We have the combination Time-Worn Locket and Sinister Solution. Time-Worn Locket and Sinister Solution. The victim was utilizing a strange concoction in an attempt to peer into the world beyond the living. His experiments were what angered the Spectre and led to his demise. It is up to you to destroy the spirit once and for all. There's only one way to do that. Remove all Doom from play. Advance the Act and Agenda deck to the set-aside True Culprit version 5. Is both the current Act and the current Agenda. Move all clues from the Time-Worn Locket to the Sinister Solution and spawn the set-aside Vengeful Spectre in room 245. Okay, so first up we remove all Doom from play. And this agenda is also gone. Then we find True Culprit version 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. True Culprit version 5. Okay. The rest of these can go away. And the True Culprit version 5 reads, well, that's a scary axe. Is that us? 6 Doom. Sinister Solution gains action if Vengeful Spirit is at your location. Test Intellect 1. For each point you succeed by, move 1 clue from Sinister Solution to Vengeful Spectre. Does not provoke attack opportunity. Objective. If Vengeful Spectre is defeated or has clues on it equal to its remaining health, advance. Alright. We have move all clues from the Time-Worn Locket to the Sinister Solution. So we now have a Sinister Solution, I believe. Yeah, that has 9 clues on it, if I remember correctly. And then we spawn this outside the Vengeful Spectre in room 2, 4, 5. Where is our Vengeful Spectre? Here it is. That would be this room up here. Vengeful Spectre. 4 combat, 8 health, 5 agility, monster, geist, and elite. It patrols to this room and it retaliates. Forced, when damage will be placed on Vengeful Spectre, reduce the damage to 1 unless it was dealt by a spell, relic, charm, or encounter card. Okay, so that's a bit tricky, but you know, we can deal with this. 2 horror, yeah, we'll be fine. No, that's what we gotta do, and we now have a Vengeful Spectre to deal with. Hello, can you kindly go into the session? Thank you. Well, we now go to the middle phase. We immediately take 1. We get a Doom, so we're 1 out of 6, and we draw encounter cards. Morbid Awareness. Whoa. Revelation. Test willpower of 6. Uh-oh. Reduce the difficulty test by 1 for each location away from room 212 you are. Well, room 212 is over here, so we're only 2 locations away. This is a difficulty 4 test. If we fail, we must either place one of your clues on location or take 2 horror. Well, we don't have any clues. Taking 2 horror right now would not be great, but on the other hand, we don't have a U-handle. Oh wait, no, sorry, we do. We'll just give this to Stella. You know, as is tradition, when we draw willpower tests, we're just going to give it to somebody else. We don't have a lot of ways to mitigate this on Stella's side either. She's at the same location, so it's not like it's going to change, so we're just going to take the test and auto-fail. Oh boy, okay, we'll just take 2 horror on the face, and we'll draw a card with Rabbit's Foot and get an extra action. That's probably not the worst. Come on, good encounter cards. No, good encounter card deck. Okay, well, we got a +1, so we just passed the second one. It's fine. Okay, so we have to get over to the Vengeful Spectre, and we have to use... yeah, we have to use the Sinister Solution to move all of our clues onto the Spectre, or, you know, just beat it up. But the problem is that, yeah, it has abilities that reduce the damage it takes. Does it have Massive? It does not. So the first person to go in there is going to engage them. Have to deal with whatever that is. So I think what I'm gonna do is run Winifred in there. Your heroic sacrifice will be honored. Move. So she's now engaged with the Spectre. Because she does have, you know, the best agility. So I'm gonna put a watch this in there. I'm not gonna put any money in there because we have more than plenty money. I mean, we are gonna have to actually pay 5 for every time, but we can pay that 3 times, which would be 3 damage. Which is probably more than enough. So yeah, we're just gonna throw these 2 in. We get to draw a card. No, that would have been a nice one to throw in as well, but we're at 5, 6 from Delilah, 7, 8 versus 3. We draw a -1, which means we get to draw another card from the cigarette case. We would have triggered watch this, but we didn't put any money in. We can trigger Nimble, which lets us move a bunch, but we don't really want to. We don't really want to leave because we just want to stay here and exhaust the Spectre, and that's what we do. We don't have any actions remaining because we moved twice, so the only thing we're gonna do is use Delilah, spend 5 resources. Now, awkwardly, we can deal 2 damage, but the damage is reduced by 2-1, so 1 damage on the old Spectre. Okay, Stella's turn. Might be tempting to put the shoes on. Get some mobility in there, but I think we can just take the risk here. So we're gonna move, then we're gonna trigger this reaction, move for free. We have to reveal a token. We reveal a non-special token, so we're fine. Okay, and now we can test Intellect 1. For every point we succeed by, we move a clue from the Sinister Solution to the Spectre. Which I think we will do. This is our, oh, I should keep our track of our actions. This is our second action, so it is difficulty 1. Commit basically everything we have at this point. We just want to move, because if we can move, you know, a lot of clues in one go, we might be able to kill her fairly quickly. But this is our second action, and we're just going to throw in Perception as a Winifred. Winifred, I find, doesn't really want to commit to other players because she can only commit 1 card, but in this case it's Perception, which we can just, you know, cycle. And we reveal a Elder Thing token, which is a -3 with, you know, no special effects otherwise. Which means we succeed by 3, unless I'm missing something. No, we don't have Orn anymore, so that's not going to do anything. Winifred draws a card. It's another rogue. And we get a resourceful trigger. We can search for something. Get that back. I'm trying to think what's actually good to take here. My immediate gut reaction is to grab a Test of Will, because it at the very least lets us cancel whatever bad stuff, you know, might happen because of basically I'm thinking the only thing we fail at this point is by drawing a bad encounter card, so I'm just gonna grab this. Could grab some intellect icons instead, but I don't think that's necessary. Oh, I should double check. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. -3 from the token. 5, so I succeed by 4, so get 4 clues. Witness it here, the Tabletop Simulator at its best, trying to move all these finicky tokens around. That's not too bad. Okay, so there's a remaining health at the moment of 7 and 4 clue tokens, so one good swing could potentially end it. We're going to go for a third action, difficulty 0. We reveal. Okay, so we do succeed, but we sadly succeed by 0, so nothing happens. And for our last trick, we're just going to try that again. 0, you succeed by 2, move 2 more tokens. So it is now at 6 tokens. Okay, so we win in upkeep. Oh, that's pretty straightforward. Now, normally this would be kind of tricky if you wanted to kill it instead of cluing it to death, because I don't believe you get the victory points if you clue it to death, but whatever. What happens is we go to enemy phase, nothing happens, and then we go to upkeep. This readies. I guess we don't win in upkeep because we don't get an action window for Delilah. We have to wait until the Mythos phase before we get to do something. Yeah, so we draw cards, gain resources, draw card, gain resources, put a Doom on the agenda, draw an encounter card, Chilling Presence, test willpower 3, in response win the scenario. Because we pay Delilah 5 resources to do 1 damage to the Spectre. This puts her at 2 damage, remaining health 6 and 6 clues. If the Vengeful Spectre is defeated or has clues equal to its remaining health, advance. If this pawn on the paranormal board. If this agenda advanced because you completed its objective, the locket rests in your open hand and you consider it now, standing in the sudden silence of the hotel. It seems such a simple thing, but this memento of dark events had a hand in the turmoil of the Excelsior, despite its unassuming appearance. You slide it into your pocket and turn towards the door, breathing a bit easier. You find some measure of comfort in knowing that the strange goings on of the Excelsior have been put to rest, at least for now. Resolution 1. Where did I put that? Right here I put the thing. Resolution 1. Nobody will ever believe what you witnessed at the Excelsior. Not 3 days later, the hotel was open again, like nothing had ever happened. You know better though, you witnessed it all firsthand. The events continue to haunt your dreams and your waking thoughts. Even now, you go out of your way to avoid the Excelsior, though weeks have passed and there have been no signs of any other nefarious schemes within its cursed walls. The only thing that can quiet the echoing memories of that horrible experience is a visit to the local speakeasy, but all the booze in the world can't keep the grisly visions from your nightmares, waking you up in the dead of night with a violent start soaked in sweat. That's when you notice the person asking around town about the Excelsior. Innocent questions at first, but more prodding with each passing day. Surely they will believe you. Somebody has to. You may have broken free of the Excelsior's grasp, but there will be other victims. Of that you are sure. You grab a piece of paper and hastily scribble a note. It's all a facade. Room 225. Tonight. It's not over. If they can see past the veil of the Excelsior operation, then maybe others can too. It may not be too late to stop it all from happening again. In your campaign log, record that the Excelsior is quiet for now. There's a bunch of stuff for when you're doing campaign stuff, which we aren't going to take these decks anywhere else. If the police are on your side, we get Sergeant Moreau. Hey, we got Sergeant Moreau. And we would earn Victory X. So that's all basically irrelevant because this is standalone. So yeah, that's Murder at the Excelsior Hotel. This was one of 10 possible final scenarios. There are 5 different leads, and any combination of those two forms a different story thread and a different true culprit. So I definitely recommend, if you haven't played the scenario yet, definitely go play it. It's really fun. But yeah, for now, I don't think there's much else to say about the scenario. About the decks, maybe. I really enjoy Winifred. I think she plays into a style of into what I think rogues are at their core, which is, over the top, succeeding by a billion, and her Elder Sign is one of the best. Like, wow, we just get to put 4 cards that I just committed to this stat back into my hand. I think if there's any pairings with her with Mystics that can make sure she draws the Elder Sign, that's going to be insanely great too. Stella, she's my favorite investigator. She's got such a cool ability. She's got a pretty cool backstory, I think. And just the way she plays, the way she turns any failure into a potential reward it's really cool. I think Quick Learner is actually like borderline broken. It's really strong. But yeah, I think these are both really cool investigators, and I'm really looking forward to doing more with them. Hopefully the COVID delays won't be too bad, please. But yeah, that was awesome. As far as well, this video series goes, this was a good start, I think. Went a little bit longer than I expected for a first video, but here we are. Went into the deep end, I guess. I really enjoyed this. I want to know any and all feedback you have. Please post it below. You can find me on Reddit, u/wern212. You can find me on Discord, in the Mythosbuster Discord. I'll make sure to put a link in the description of the YouTube video. And yeah, one question I do have, apart from, obviously any technical issues or other things, is what would you like to see next? I know there were some people that were asking for a deck building guide. I am working on that, but it turned out to be a lot more complicated than I initially thought it would be. My plan is to probably do either another run at Hotel or just a small campaign or something, maybe with other investigators. I know that Dexter Drake we just need to learn about his deck building rules. So if you want to see me play that, I can. There's also the other investigators from the new starter decks. I've been talking for a long time. I'm kind of losing my train of thought. I don't know if I have them in here. I do not, so I can't show them. But there's the Guardian, who's the boxer, who's maybe a little difficult to play because he does rely on all the cards that we don't have yet. There's Harvey, the Seeker, who draws lots of cards. That seems kind of interesting. And we have the Mystic Jacqueline, who reveals lots of tokens. I would be perfectly okay playing the Seeker and the Mystic at least. the Nathaniel, I believe it's called, the Guardian. If you really want me to play him, I'll play him. But the tricky part there is just we don't have his deck yet, and I think he relies more than any of them on cards that are in his starter deck because he needs lots of events to fight with. So yeah, that was this first demo video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and again, please leave any feedback you have, and I'll see you again until the end of time.